Hello. Let's have a look at some new options that you have with the timesheets or Tracktime. Let me first review what the functionality is about now. At the moment, when you're adding a timesheet, there is just one rate, one amount. It can be the income part or the expense part. It depends how you look at it. That's the only amount and rate that you have. If you go to timesheet settings, there's rates, and again you see there's just one value there, which could be the income part or the expense part, based on your angle. Also, what you already have in the system is rate settings for the account users. For each user, you can define rates, and there you can already define income rate and expense rate. So if you're selling that person, that's the income rate, how much you sell that person for, but that person also costs you money, that's the expense rate. For now, that settings, the income expense rate, was only used in team economics, where you could see, how much each person makes money, costs money, or in team economics in Tracktime, the same thing, or in project economics or company economics, where we used those rates. For now, there are some changes that you could use, and those changes are that you can actually pick if you want to keep monitoring that one rate with your timesheets, or that you actually want to track income and expense part of each timesheet. So if you go to timesheet settings, basic settings, you can just switch it in here. If we go back to timesheets and you want to add a timesheet, you see that now you have two sections, the income part and the expense part. If I create that timesheet, you see that timesheet at this moment has income part and expense part and the sum. And also the table view under the timesheet list also has the expense part and income minus the expense part. If you don't see that, you need to turn on the expense column in your timesheets list. That's how you see those new information. The same thing is available in the Tracktime. Again, you need to turn it on. There's new columns called income and expense, and for each tracked time event, you see how much money that person earned and how much money that person cost, and the difference. Again, that's what you see when you turn on the income and expense part. Also, what's new here, if you set up the rates for your users, and if you go to set up a timesheet, you see that the application will use that custom rate for that user and pre-fills it. So you see there's an hour rate for Petr Macek, income and expense part. So you don't have to manually pick your rate. The system can do it for you. Also, when we talk about two rates, when you're defining the generic rates, like consultation, analysis, you also have two values here, and you can pick you can define both. And there's one more thing that you can actually use, and it's the project rates, they actually can override the default rates of such a user. Say if you go to a project, to a project form, to a team tab, there's an option to define project rates that actually could be different from the initial rate. That's the same, and here I'll leave it. I'll change it. I save it, and if I go to project detail and if I add a timesheet, you'll see that the rates are actually different. Those are the rates of the project, and you see even here it's written a rate from project for Petr Macek. If I remove that project, you see that's the generic rate. Or if I create a timesheet within a project, you see project rate. If I change the user, it gets changed to the rate for Jiří Trnka. So now you also have an option to use individual project rate. And not only for people, you can also have individual project rates for the basic rates like analysis, consultation, internal rate. So you can also modify those for that particular project.